We take a moment to gather ourselves here on this winter solstice, as the time of the year is shifting and we enter into the longest night of the year. We acknowledge that the land on which we work, live, and worship is the ancient sacred grounds and the unceded land of the Awaswa-speaking UP tribe, connected with the broader Ohlone indigenous people of the Bay Area. We name out loud the theft, displacement, colonization, and genocide that our lives profit from every day. We know that the land remembers. We know that the oak trees and the redwood trees remember. We know that the waterways remember. The descendants of the Ohlone people remember, and we too, worshipers at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Santa Cruz County, we also remember. We rise in solidarity with Palestine and all indigenous people around the world fighting for their rights for sovereignty and self-determination. And we support the local land trust movement of the Ama Mutsun tribal band, whose ancestors of the Ohlone people and the tribe's vision is to steward their lands and waters, combining traditional resource and environmental management with contemporary approaches, ensuring a resilient future for all inhabitants of Turtle Island. Amen, and welcome to the service this morning. And now we will read our Unitarian Universalist value of interdependence together. So for those of you that know, last summer we had a major reorganizing of our Unitarian Universalist values, and so they're into the, if you all use JETPIG here, is that an acronym? So justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity with love at the center. That's what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. So we're going to read out loud together our value of interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence with reverence for the great web of life, and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. We covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. May it be so. Oh, love, put me in my right place. Oh, love, put me in my right place. Oh, love, put me where you want me. Oh, love, in service to the holy. I learned that song on Tuesday when 200 faith leaders shut down ICE's San Francisco District 9 headquarters. That's right. We had 44 ministers willing to get arrested with about 150 others that were their support. It was an amazing experience and an escalation of everything that we need to do as Unitarian Universalists. On this, the longest night, my prayer for you, Fellowship of Santa Cruz County, begins with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, who said, "I know somehow that only when it is dark enough can you see the stars." On this, the longest night of the year, Dr. King's words remind us that even, maybe even especially, in the midst of despair and oppression, the vision of love and justice will guide us through any obstacle. Lean into the arms of this faith. It will guide you. It can hold you in times of trouble. Our colleague, Reverend Chris Busey from the UU Church of Knoxville, created this UU Values prayer after St. Francis. I've come to love it, and it's become a mantra. The UU Values prayer says, "Make us instruments of your peace. Where there is indifference, may we bring justice. Where there is selfishness, may we bring equity. Where there is stagnation, may we bring transformation. Where there is homogeneity, may we bring pluralism. Where there is greed, may we bring generosity. And where there is hatred, may we bring love. Make us instruments of your peace, with love at the center of everything we do. O love, make us instruments of your peace. Where there is anti-LGBTQ intolerance, may we center love in every word, in every action, in every prayer. Where American-made bombs drop on churches, schools, and hospitals and refugee tent cities, may we organize our churches, our communities, and our hospitals and our schools to resist. Where there is Islamophobia and anti-Semitism, may we bring peace, salam, and shalom. Prayers for a world free of genocide, free of colonization and ethnocentric racism. And where there are ICE raids and abductions without due process, may we organize every block, every community. May we rise up with whistles in our hand, ready to take down Palantir, ICE's AI-enabled tech platform. And where there is no due process, may justice one day bring all fascists to their knees. May all war criminals receive their due process one day. Until love is all there is. Until love is every single breath we take. Every word, every action. Amen. Blessed be. Adrienne Maree Brown teaches us that small is good. Small is all. The large is a reflection of the small, and it's about the fractals. The fractals of the patterns of the universe that repeat at scale. What we practice at the small scale sets the patterns for the whole system. So what we do here at the UU Fellowship of Santa Cruz County can impact that whole system. Emergent strategy emphasizes the power of relationships. The strength of our movement is the strength of our relationships. Scaling up would mean going deeper, being more vulnerable and more empathetic. The focus on connection makes us feel valued and integral to the strategy. Relationships are at the core of what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. We gather in resistance to the rising threat of fascism, racism, sexism, homophobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, ableism, the climate crisis, and multiple polycrises of our time. We gather as people rooted in love, curiosity, and respect. Love, curiosity, and respect. Now, in her 2025 In-Gathering video, Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, president of the UUA and the first queer Black woman president of the UUA, said these words from our colleague C.B. Beale. Reverend Dr. Sophia said, "We must be intentional about moving fear out of the center and replacing it with love over and over and over again, as many times as is necessary." Unitarian Universalism was born for such a time as this. We build on the backs of generations of justice seekers who came before us, who paved that way. Our faith is rooted in justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. Now is the time to deepen our bonds of connection that this age requires. Now, emergent strategy draws from biomimicry, which is the practice of looking into nature's time-tested patterns, systems, and strategies. The idea is that living organisms and ecosystems have been evolving for billions of years, so their solution to survival, whether in design, energy use, or community balance, they can teach us something that we need to learn. Take, for example, birds. Adrienne says, birds don't make a plan to migrate, raising resources to fund their way, packing for scarce times, mapping out all their pit stops. Birds feel a call in their bodies, and they must go. They follow it, responding to each other, responding to adaptations. Starlings are small flock of birds that move in syncs of up to thousands of birds at once. Starlings can engage in clear communication. They exhibit collective leadership and deep trust. What I love most about starlings is that they pay attention to the 7 closest birds around them. The 7 closest birds around them. And thus they manage this large flock with preciseness and cohesiveness that changes. And what's amazing is that these changes ripple. These changes ripple in the flock because of what Adrienne calls emergent strategy. Now, emergent strategy follows simple rules. The birds have to have alignment. They have to match their direction. They have to have attraction. They have to be able to stay close to each other. And also they have to know about repulsion and when to avoid collisions. The murmuration response is incredibly fast and efficient. Changes ripple through the flock almost instantly with minimal information loss. Dandelions, who, imagine just picking that up and blowing it into the sea. Dandelions don't know whether they're a weed or a brilliance, but we are invited to be that prolific and to return fertility to the soil around us, to trust that the wind will come and we can be a community of healers waiting to spread. Now, this past year was the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And like I said, the Philippines is getting 20 typhoons a year. 10 out of our 25 UU churches in the Philippines were damaged by this last typhoon. So when we think about climate change, and when Hurricane Katrina slammed into the Gulf Coast, almost everything lost its footing. Houses were detached from foundations, trees and shrubbery were uprooted, signposts and vehicles floated down the rivers that became the streets. But amidst the whipping winds and the surging water, it was the oak tree that held its ground. Adrienne says, instead of digging its roots deep and solitary into the earth, the oak tree grows its roots wide and interlocks with all the other oak trees that surround it. Now, how do you survive the unnatural disasters of climate change, environmental injustice, over-policing, mass imprisonment, and corporate globalization? Adrienne says, look to the oak trees. We must connect in the underground in this way. So can we, Unitarian Universalists, move with the grace and collective vision of the starling birds? What would it mean for each of us to be so deeply in tune with the 7 closest beloveds around us? What is the ancient medicine that nature has always been trying to teach us? Now, some key strategies for emergent strategy are these 8 points. 1, change is constant. Be like water. 2, there is always enough time for the proper work. 3, there is a conversation in the room that only these people can have. Find it. 4, never a failure, always a lesson. 5, trust the people, they will become trustworthy. 6, move at the speed of trust. Move at the speed of trust. 7, focus on critical connections more than critical mass. And 8, less prep, more presence. What you pay attention to grows. I have to admit, I'm seeing emergent strategy everywhere now. Ocean waves crashing on the shore, the spiral of seashells, the spiral in our fingertips, a flock of birds in synchronized flight. I see emergent strategy in the cries for a free Palestine, in rainbow LGBT crosswalks, in honoring pronouns, in standing up against ICE and shutting down their headquarters. So, UU Fellowship of Santa Cruz County, let us weave our roots of love so tightly together, just like that mighty oak tree. Let us spread healing like dandelions and collaborate deep beneath the surface like fungi and mycelium. To build the anti-racist, multicultural, beloved community the deepest values of our faith call us towards. May we become the systems that we need. May we who claim this faith make its promises real in our lifetime, in this place, with these people, ready to build the new world out of the ashes of the old. Our faith was born for such a time as this. The future of this beautiful and broken world is in our hands. What role will you play in the revolution that is already here? Amen. Kapalaran, may it be so.